That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves in the midst of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, having started a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever-growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it's Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 3, The Streets of Mos Espa, with our very special guest. It's he's a reality show host who's got more charisma than an Olympian god. It's Casey.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Casey, how's didn't you just start the casting process for season 2 of Prometheus?
I did. Yeah, it has been pretty good so far, but it is a lot of work. We've gotten more applications in 3 days than we got within like pretty much like a week or two for season 1.
Oh, nice.
So it's a lot of contacting people and a lot of immediate interviews, but it has been amazing so far.
Cool, congrats. Right off the top, do you want to tell everyone, just quickly plug Prometheus, what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. So Prometheus is an online reality game that airs as a web series. So if you're, a fan of any sort of reality competition, especially the social reality competitions, like Survivor or Big Brother, then I think you'd like Prometheus. We only have one season out right now, and we are casting for season 2 currently. We're on Facebook and YouTube, and we are about to begin a social media expansion in the upcoming days on Instagram and TikTok.
Nice.
So you should check us out.
Nice. Okay, so Casey, you, of course, are jumping into our Book of Boba Fett coverage after the first 2 episodes aired, episode 3. So what are your thoughts just overall on this show so far?
Okay, so I don't know if I'm among popular opinion or against it. But the first 2 episodes, I think they were really well made, and I do appreciate a lot of the world building aspects of this show. But I've got to say, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first 2 episodes. With this 3rd episode, I actually very much enjoyed it, but objectively speaking, I might say that it's actually the worst of the 3. But once again, I actually really like this 3rd episode more than the first 2. I guess to, without really boring everyone with like super intense details, when you watch a lot of shows out there, usually it happens in like a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or whatever season, but usually there's always a show that like after you've gotten really, into the plot of the season, it hits you with like episode 7 is a complete flashback episode, and it just like breaks up all the plot and all the action. Now, granted, you're getting necessary detail moments, but it's just like is such a buzzkill. That's almost what I felt about the first 2 episodes, where you're getting a little bit of current day, plot, and then you get like this backstory with then a little bit more plot, then more backstory. It's just this like, zigzag, I mean, I don't really know how to describe any more of that. It's just like the zig and zagging of like being super into the story and then being thrown into like this alternate story that obviously still applies to the plot. But hopefully we're finished with that given the events of the 3rd episode, which I'm sure if anyone's listening to this, you obviously know we're going to be probably talking about the plot, and so there are spoilers. So obviously everything that happened with the Sands people. And I guess, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but, I think overall, I like I said, I really enjoyed this episode, but I did not even objectively, but like on the subjective side as a Star Wars fan, I took a few issues with a couple small things that I'm sure everybody is more or less in line with. And that's the biker gang, but I also enjoyed, other aspects of it, which I will dive into further later.
All right. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of hate the biker gang.
I'm sorry, guys. Just to delineate, because I don't want this to be a confusing point here, because there's many speeder bike gangs. Okay, there's the speeder bike gangs that murdered people, and then there's the street gang, is which I believe you're referring to. TK.
Yeah, the street gang. Yeah.
Just to make the distinction, so we're not confused later. Go on.
My problem with the street gang is that they basically feel like they belong in a '90s TMNT movie. It's like they feel like the Shredder could have easily manipulated them. I don't know, and I don't like their color scheme. Their colors are way too bright and saturated for Star Wars, in my opinion. But I will say, other than the bikers, this episode was good. I still think episode 2 was, for me, kind of like a Samurai Jack style. Like I got the kind of the kind of vibes, the Western vibes of that people were kind of raving about with the Mandalorian. Like that was like even stronger for me in episode 2 of Book of Boba Fett. And the pacing in the current day timeline could have been a little bit stronger. There could have been more of a balance there. But I think episode 2, like for me, it really needed, like it really did. Not only did it bring a lot of heart to the stakes at play that happened in episode 3, but it was also just, as a Star Wars fan, like, I mean, Casey knows me. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I'm more of a casual fan, but as the filthy casual that I am, one of the things that I do like about Star Wars is the different races and different alien species and cultures. And episode 2 just being such a rich deep dive into the Tusken culture, for me, I dug it. So episode 3, I do think it's a really good progression of the current day storyline for sure. I gotta say, probably the strongest part for me was the Danny Trejo stuff. I just, him as a Rancor Wrangler just makes so much sense. It's like perfect. Like it's the perfect use of Trejo in the Star Wars universe. I love it. I will have to wait. I'm on kind of like a wait and see mode when it comes to the villains. I'm not quite sure how effective they're going to be. Although, I did obviously, I don't want to say I liked the slaughter of the Tuskens, but I will say it was an effective tragedy in the flashbacks. One thing I will also have to say, outside of me just not really being a big fan of the speed bike, the street gang, just aesthetically, and also like in terms of them just being kind of like, feeling a little bit dated as far as like henchmen go. I thought the chase scene at the end just went on for like an almost comedic amount of time. I thought it really dragged, like, for the reveal of ultimately just like, all right, the mayor's off planet. Like, I don't know. I did not feel like the chase scene needed to be that long. It was basically like the chase scene equivalent dragon of, the terminology that I like to use where it's like, and they fight. It's like, and they get chased. They're chasing. I don't know. So, Dragon, what do you think?
I thought this was I liked this episode. I thought it was a solid plot episode, moving things forward in our story. Honestly, I guess I'm really alone here. I like the street gang, honestly. I mainly like it for plot-wise what we do. We kind of correct like a thing I was a little worried about in the show, and we didn't like.
Well, you also like the Dexter New Blood ending.
Yeah, thanks.
Which I don't really have as much of a problem with as other people, but anyways.
My point is, I like the street gang in that I like that it solves kind of like a problem of like, yeah, Boba Fett's kind of outgunned in the show. Like, oh my god, him putting his beliefs into practice has been paying out so far, man. He's built up a crew. I mean, I don't know. I kind of like I like them just as kind of like it harkens back to a little bit of American Graffiti for me, with the color and the hues of the bikes and everything. And I'm a sucker for a good land speeder. I like the land. It does go on a little long, but I liked it. You know, and there was a lot of other cool stuff in the episode, and I don't know. So on the whole, I found a lot. Again, definitely not nowhere near as good as episode 2. No argument there. But still, you know, it's like I think this one's just pretty much setting up the plot going for. It's more of a setup episode with again teeing up some cool stuff like Treo and the Rancor, and also Black Chrysadan had an amazing sequence in the episode. Was a lot of
Mhm.
fun. I'm just having a good time being all cozy and in kind of our revisited kind of Tatooine setting now that we've kind of teed it up in Mando and we're actually getting to do stuff on it. I've been liking that. So yeah, I had a good time with this one.
Okay, so we've got a couple people in the comments here. Donovan Martin is chatting up a storm. Donovan, I am not going to be able to read all of your comments.
Like
just
Donovan,
so you
no
know.
offense, we're not going to bring up the Lego stuff. So let's start with what Donovan said at the top.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, even like we have to be choosy just for time, you know.
Yeah.
But he says, I don't care what anyone said about this episode. I enjoyed it more than others, and I feel like it's finally pointing us to where the overall story is going.
Yeah.
And then I will contracting that. Aid March said he agrees with me. He said episode 2 was stronger for me, really helped get into the series. Then he says there are some really vocal people who seem focused on the street gang. Donovan actually likes the street gang, so yeah, some good divided opinions. Dragon, any other comments from Donovan I should read?
Well, let me see. Okay. Well, I think the rest of it's going to be kind of stuff we're about to get to. You know, let's. Do you want to talk about the Camino stuff because it's very brief and it's kind of more speculative. That Donovan's bringing up here.
Sure.
I do want to roll back to one of Donovan's comments later.
Right. Okay, so let's see. So Donovan says, "I have a feeling that many people aren't realizing that Robert Rodriguez is actually, slowly building up this series on purpose to pay off, with a big." Basically, things that there's going to be a big payoff with like our brief glimpses at at Django leaving young Boba on Camino, which we this episode kind of in the background is drawn focus to with a little fact to it that Tatooine used to have water all around. It was actually a fun story. Then we distract from that, but yeah, so it's kind of fun. This is the second episode in a row in which we've kind of teed up and we kind of teed up almost like Rango the importance of water and how much like currency it really is. And I think I don't think it's by accident that we've had such an effective symbol of Boba Fett of water on Tatooine and the healing kind of the healing journey and kind of the healing past that it has and that it connects to. Every time we do a flashback to Boba Fett, it's in the back of the tank. So that's been our framing device for every time he's in that tank.
Yeah.
We
Healing
cut back
water.
to things. And also, we have like a quick glimpse of the same footage of him on Camino, like whether it be during the Spirit Quest or whatnot. Every time we do a flashback thing, we do that. So I agree, Donovan. I think he is building to a payoff. What unless it's like Omega at the end of this season? I'm not quite sure what it is. But
my God, that would be insane.
Yeah, I mean I'm just saying going back to Camino and everything, and I know we didn't really do this on the Bad Batch yet, but there a lot of people speculate Fennec Shand, who is in that season, who obviously there's already a connection there. It's a question of if we're going to see how Boba Fett met Fennec Shand, and if so, what age he was. Like, I believe it was speculated he was going to like hire her as a kid, but that didn't end up happening on the first season. So it's a question of where we're going to take a stand there.
I'd almost imagine. I mean, he met her when he found her in the desert.
Yeah, that is possible as well, and also kind of feeds into kind of Boba Fett the Wanderer, which again is would make you're not wrong. That would be a good call.
Because I mean, if I remember correctly, she was actually dead. He brought her back to life and fixed her, and I think right there we've already gotten the idea that Fennec is a little bit of a different bounty hunter than we're used to seeing.
Yes.
But if, Boba didn't meet her when he saved her, I could definitely see Boba meeting her in the past because as anyone who's watched the Clone Wars knows that when Boba was a kid and he had nowhere to go, he was raised by the bounty hunters.
Yeah. Ran into all sorts of bounty hunters. Like he's come across Cad Bane. He's been around.
Yeah. I mean, well, there was an episode in the Clone Wars where he quite literally was with a group of bounty hunters. That's like who he was with when he was a kid because he had nowhere else to go.
Yeah, I know. It was a really good episode too. It fed the
Yeah.
whole Django Fett move with the whole the helmet thing with Mace Windu. Yeah.
I mean, personally too, I mean, I'm liking the series so far as a whole, but I think if anything, I would have much rather have liked to have gotten a series of Boba growing up and surviving rather than get this story, because at least as of now, I don't actually care about this story a whole lot. But by the end of the season, I might love it and then be super happy that they even did this.
But let me use that as a point to transition here. I want to talk
Of
about
course.
something else in the episode. All right, so again, a big thing I really liked in the episode kind of bleeds into my street gang forgiveness, if you will, is that I we established the tone of Boba Fett's past already with the Tusken Raider story and how basically Boba Fett's journey to enlightenment, which is what I've been really liking with the series. And okay, we're seeing so the Sand People story is basically okay. This is us transitioning him from bounty hunter to kind of a leadership role. And now it seems we're focusing on the present, and the choices that he's made are basically the choices that he makes in a leadership role. And the big thing we got this episode is we had Stephen Root as the watermonger, as I think Lotha Peel or whatever his name was. So Stephen Root, by the way, always good to see Stephen Root pop up in anything. Let's just get out in there, whether it's Barry or what have you. Whenever he pops up, it's a good time. Anyway, so I love that. Okay, so this guy shows up. He basically he's delicately critical and skeezy about like, hey, we're not sure you're capable of being a good daimyo. If you handle this for me, I'll double my treatment to you, my tribute to you. Sorry. And so he goes to the street gang of the droid modified youths, which again I really love this opening because what he does is you're seeing Boba Fett's approach work, where it's respect versus fear that Jabba was all about. Where it gets results. He solved the problem. He's giving jobs to the people of Mos Espa, and building up his forces that are definitely going to come in handy with this war on Tatooine. We're kind of teeing up at the end here, and all of this like a bunch of forces that actually believe in him, like the Gamorrean guards. Like this tact is giving him results, and it's also a bit of a screw you to the guy. Like, hey, don't hire me like a bounty hunter. I'm the daimyo. Show me some respect. That's why you get half your money back, and kind of a screw you. So I don't know. Everything just kind of worked out really nicely at the top there with that, and I like that we're kind of seeing those things at work.
Yeah. I mean, with that, I feel like that could also come back to bite them in the butt. Everything.
Yeah, sure. Of course. I don't think we've gotten to like. I think they're lulling you into that false sense of security where there's going to be a choice that he's going to make, and like a Telltale game, it ain't going to end well.
Yeah, I mean,
so I'm sorry. For me, I hear what you're saying about like like building up the leadership and building up his crew and everything, and I do really enjoy the how Boba is being very, very diplomatic, and that's something that the people that only look at Boba Fett as like, oh, supreme badass of the galaxy are very bitter about it, and I'm kind of like eating my I'm kind of like I'm loving their bitterness about it, just because to me Boba Fett has never really been all that badass. It's more of a cool design than anything else. I think the actually interesting part of his character comes from his story, but
well, I think when you really think about it, and there's Disney Plus even released a little documentary called Under the Helmet that
which is good.
Kind of, yeah, excuse me, which explains part of the phenomenon, and part of it is it's the mystery behind him, and I mean he was like the number one bounty hunter in the galaxy. And before that, I would argue that it probably was Cad Bane, and as we know from the scrapped season of Clone Wars, he was supposed to kill Cad Bane. So yeah, I mean, a large part of it comes from his mystery, his appearance. Even though he was very short-lived in the original trilogy, I think something to compare it to is: could you imagine if you got a sort of like an origin story for Yoda, and like, I don't know. It's kind of that kind of comparison. I think there are two characters in the Star Wars universe that part of their appeal is the mystery behind them.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I think the show so far, and we'll see. My theory is that we're gonna basically. So it's gonna be really interesting if we ever see him in that back to tank again. Assumedly, we're gonna have another flashback. So assumedly, that's gonna continue to.
I think people are optimistic when they think that the flashbacks are just gonna stop.
My assumption is that we're not going to continue with the sand. I think the sand person story is done.
I think the sand person story is done, but I'm just saying. I think we're probably gonna get more.
I know it's
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, of course, my hope will go to is perhaps a backstory with Black Chris Satan. But I gotta admit, though, this episode does kind of throw me a bit of a curveball at that. In that the encounter they have at the end, I mean, I assumed it was like he shouted out the gladiator pit, which makes me think, oh yeah, he remembers Black Chris Satan. But it's a little. He's kind of warning him, hey, you get into this line of work, you got to be careful. That might be more of like a, hey, I don't recognize you, fellow bounty hunter, but take heed. I don't know. We'll see. It's vague enough. We'll see. I'd like to think there was.
So I'm sorry, but what I was getting to with everything was just for me the gang is just like aesthetically, it just doesn't work for me personally.
I've heard the Alita comparison, but of course for me, I like Alita. But beyond that, I gotta tell you, I'm a sucker for kind of the gadgetry and everything. So like kind of a man droid modification thing. I think is cool, and it's sort of like, well, why not do it? It's cool. It's it's like it would make sense. And
I don't have a problem with that. I literally have a problem with the color scheme. Like I said, it's more
just the bikes. The bikes are the only thing in one chase scene.
See, no, here's the thing. I think there's a couple things with that. So first off, before they even showed the bike gang, they said, oh, these people, they're, half droid, half human.
Yeah.
Now, I was watching this in my bed, and I actually, sprung up, and I was like, holy shit, they're introducing the Haxan Brood, which was pretty much a big crime syndicate located throughout the Outer Rim. And where's Tatooine? In the Outer Rim. And then part of it, at least for me, was like, oh, this is just a bunch of Tatooine people that aren't a part of the Haxan Brood. And I was like, that's weird, because the whole thing with the Haxan Brood is that is exactly what they do. They replace their body parts with droid parts to make themselves better, better crime syndicate, better bounty hunters, better, whatever. But with that, yeah, the bikes. Let's talk about the bikes for a quick second, because that's what most people end up bringing up. The bikes are super polished, super brand new, and super bright. I feel like if they're riding them around Tatooine, the sands of Tatooine, and just being, in that area,
well, they probably just got them.
I mean,
Dragon, just admit that aesthetically it doesn't fit.
All right.
Even aesthetically, it doesn't. You can like them aesthetically. Like you made a good point with the American graffiti thing. I can get down with that.
I mean, people point out the '50s diner. I mean, why not?
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing people bring up is the comparison of Episode 2 with Dex's Diner. But I think the thing is that Robert Rodriguez 100% was pulling from two things. He was pulling from the American graffiti part, because I mean, it's George Lucas. And then also, I actually read a very interesting article this morning that bike gang is actually, almost down to most of the clothing compared to a 1960s Vespa, gang / movement in, I guess it was England. And so that's definitely what he was pulling influence from. But I think there's a way that you could have taken those influences and still altered them so it works on that level and it works within the Star Wars universe. But another thing too is with these people not having jobs, I mean, yeah, I guess they are a gang, but they really have some very nice bikes. And also none of them quite dress the same. Some of them dress a little bit better. And then you also have, the main chick who kind of just looks super punky.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta tell you, Casey, I know you're laying out a lot of hopes for them being a specific organization that has been pre-established in Star Wars. Now, I gotta tell you, taking at face value, I like the parallels of Boba Fett started young in the Criminal Enterprise, and as well as, Fennec Shan, she is kind of part machine after Boba Fett saved her. So I kind of like the parallels, and like I think on some level they kind of spoke to him maybe of like, yeah, these guys got spunk, and I need an army, and I mean, I need to solve a problem, so let's take them in, let's bring them in. So I kind of like them on that level as well.
I mean, I agree. I'm like, the thing is, let me say, despite my criticisms of the Bite Gang, I actually do like them. I really do. And I agree. I think there is that parallel between, Fennec and that gang. Although Fennec was literally to revive her or, save her.
Oh, sure.
Whereas
Yeah.
These kids, they did it, because they wanted to make themselves better. You got that little line with the dude that had one eye. Yeah. So, but, yeah, I mean, like I said, I very much do like these people. But I also wanted to make a comment from earlier too.
Sure.
About the street chase, whatever you want to officially call it.
Yeah, the land speeder chase, yeah.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I would have been fine with it dragging on that long, but it did not work. It felt really weird. The chase felt, because of how weirdly slow it was, it was I mean, I don't really. I'll admit, I don't know how to actually organize my thoughts on this one.
I mean, let me tell you where I think the chase went wrong.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think what happened is, I think the reason why it feels a little oddly paced and everything is the fact that this episode, the only climax this episode can really have, because of it's just purely a plot episode, is, well, because we do the Black Kristan fight kind of in the middle, we have to end with something. So we're going to need to chase this guy down. So we're just going to pull that a little bit for some some padding. Let's kind of zhuzh up. Let's kind of zhuzh up, like in the Star Cruisers.
What really bothered me about it was just from a cinematography point of view, they focused on the dude's fucking face so much.
Right, you mean the major guy, right?
Yeah. It's like it wasn't even that dynamic of a chase scene because they just kept focusing on him, just like, oh no, I gotta get away. Oh,
them using their modifications to attack his ride was pretty cool.
Yeah. And
yeah.
And can I just say that dude just had just because he's just politically just like a kind of a very wormy character.
Yeah,
he has a face that you just want to punch.
Yeah,
and so just seeing all the close-ups of him, like, oh, gotta get away, oh boy, it's, I don't know, it bothered me.
Oh, by the way, there was a fun Rebels Easter egg in this episode, Casey. I'm sure you caught it.
I might have called it.
Can I just say, honestly, I just want to acknowledge that I feel like a third wheel in this conversation with all the animated stuff. I just want to call it out.
Well,
it's
fine. I'll say two things. Tiki, truly, you are missing out. If you're going to watch anything, at least watch Rebels. That is a phenomenal show.
Before Ahsoka, you really do have to watch Rebels, Tiki.
Yeah, that's actually going to be pretty big for the rest of the stuff. I mean, even in season 2 of The Mandalorian, they literally were referencing the finale, the series finale of Rebels. But yeah, I might have caught the Rebels Easter egg originally because I wrote up a lot of stuff on this one forum that I'm a part of. But at the moment, I'm kind of caught off guard. I'm trying to think what was the Easter egg for Rebels.
The Melaroon, the Melaroon fruit. Remember, like the little prickly fruit that he crashed into?
Okay, I'll be honest, I did not, but now I see it.
Yeah, it was like they made like the whole episode of like they have to pair what was it, Seb and Ezra out to get the Melaroons and everything because Hera likes them. It was like a trust exercise of some kind. Anyway, the point being, the fruit was all over.
I think that was like a season 1 thing, like when he was joining them. It was his like initiation, so to speak.
Yeah. It's like, well, I know about because I haven't finished Rebels because again I was kind of putting it on hold for getting ready for Ahsoka with the other half, but yeah. Anyway, yes.
I just want to comment on Donovan's thing. Yeah, maybe they did defect from the Hacks and Brood, but I kind of doubt it because I feel like the Hacks and Brood is supposed to be like one of the larger crime syndicates of the Outer Rim. And so I feel like if they defected, the Hacks and Brood would have sent like all their best bounty hunters. So I don't think they would have gotten away with it. I just think that maybe that is a coincidence, and it is due to the parallel of Fennec being, part cyborg now.
So let me double back here. I want to get your thoughts on Suntiki. So the fate of the Sand People.
Mhm.
I know you're really loving them. Of course, I mean who can't love the Sand People? The Sand People are awesome. And also, well, the only
I
people.
honestly think the best moment in all of Phantom Menace might be their brief cameo in the pod race.
Really?
I love that moment. I really do. It just adds like, oh, it's like one of the few times that Phantom Menace actually has the energy of like classic Star Wars.
Okay. Anyway, so I like I could be crazy here. I like seeing there's some parallels with Boba Fett, kind of taking on somewhat of a hero's journey to kind of our classic touchstones of that in Star Wars with Luke. Like Luke, he
Yeah, I
returns to
definitely got that vibe for sure with
Owen
with
and
the
Beru.
slaughter happening off screen.
Yeah, with basically coming back to the equivalent of Owen and
Right.
Beru with
I
with the Sand
definitely got
People.
that as kind of like a mirror, definitely.
So now just the dovetail and the
It's
stuff.
like poetry, Dragon. It rhymes.
Now, Aid March, he's brought up the whole Pike Syndicate things, just the bleed into that through the Sand People story, which essentially is this is our big connect and our big reason for, again, whether or not we're going to get any more like just different adventure kind of flashbacks going forward, or at least our main flashback story that has wrapped up, it seems. The big payoff seems to be okay. So we were negotiating with the Pikes and the biker gang that Boba beat the crap out of and stole their speeder bikes, the speeder bike gang, to be exact. They killed the Sand People, or I'm speculating perhaps the Pike Syndicate made it look that way. I wonder if they framed. I wonder if they
that,
pulled a Batman Beyond and they framed
that
the.
was kind of my guess.
So regardless, it's anyway it was sliced. Whether it was a frame up and Boba Fett knows this, or it was just like the Pike. Regardless, the Pike Syndicate, him having history with these guys and having a negative memory associated with them via the Sand People. Um, the Pike Syndicate's been pulling the mayor's strings. The mayor has been in service of the Pike Syndicate, and that's why the Hutts have backed off after just kind of like a screw you to a Boba Fett. Like, yeah, we're gonna send Black Krrsantan to kill you while you're in your little back to tank, flashbacky state. Which again, that to me is like the coolest thing of the episode. Where oh my god, we interrupt, kind of we put an end to our flashback story in the best, most amazing way possible. We rip open the back to tank and try to kill him with the coolest new character. Just
You,
awesome.
you know what though? I really like him. I almost feel like what we've seen of him so far was kind of a letdown. I'm sure he's gonna come back towards the end.
You thought he was going to stay in the Sarlacc pit too, didn't you?
Well, I just honestly, given the history behind his character and who he's supposed to be, I'm a little surprised that he didn't manage to really kill or severely hurt minus the one Gamorrean at all. I mean, he's a freaking Wookiee, and he's a badass Wookiee at that.
Well, they didn't really beat him. They lucked out and just trapped him in the Sarlacc pit, so they didn't really have any hope of taking him down.
I mean,
He would have killed them all.
yeah, but even in his moment, I mean, I know Boba is real badass, but the moments that he did have Boba, if he wanted to, he could have literally ripped his arm from his body without much effort.
Oh yeah, it's kind of the Wookiee's go-to move, like let the Wookiee win and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, going back to A New Hope.
of course.
Yeah.
Let's see. But that's a fair point. Honestly, part of me thought we were gonna like in lieu of a Sarlacc. Did I keep saying Sarlacc pit this whole? I
You
meant
kept
rank.
saying Sarlacc pit, yep.
And you just let me go.
Maybe it's because I knew what you were saying, but I
Yeah.
definitely in my head heard Rancor pit.
Yeah, I meant Rancor. Okay, so I thought.
It was the pit thing that actually kind of threw me off because it's like it's funny that Jabba has two pits.
Yeah, it's weird how that works. So
Wait, he has two pits?
It's not a lot, but it's weird that it happened more than once.
yes, so the point being the Rancor, the Rancor menagerie, pit thing. So in lieu of that, I thought we were gonna like Krrsantan, like the worst thing you could do to that character. I mean, one way or another, regardless, he's a gladiator. Whether we're doing the full on like he's the gladiator who has a history of Boba Fett, which I'm pulling for, but we'll see. Regardless, it's the fact that the worst thing you could do to that character, in a dramatic sense, is like you've put him back where he came from. You've locked him in essentially a gladiator pit of his own. Like, oh no, I mean that to me is like such a, and then we let him out, but still it's like he's grateful though he's been let out. So I'm sure it's going to pay off. And like, hey, can we be buddies again? Can I kind of work for you? Can we become like the Han and Chewie, but kind of more sinister? Yeah.
Sorry, had myself on mute.
Right. Well, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to him to come back. I mean, they got to bring him back, right? I mean, if Queel can come back, Black Chris Satan can come back.
Oh, absolutely. And once again, he will 100% be back. There's no doubt about it. See, I don't know. I mean, granted, I'd say we're about halfway through this season so far because there's only 7 episodes. So, like, I guess technically we're right before the halfway point. But I just don't know what to make of it yet. And this might also be an unpopular opinion, but The Mandalorian is really not that great of a show.
What?
I very much enjoy The Mandalorian, but it's not that great of a show. I think for The Mandalorian,
I'm kind of on like I enjoyed season 2 more than season 1, but I'm kind of on the same page as you are, Casey. I think it's a little overhyped.
Yeah, I think the thing with Disney Plus is that they have kind of shown, and they're a little bit better about some of the Marvel TV shows, but I think they've shown that they don't really have the formula down for a shorter season that like Netflix does, because like Netflix has pretty much perfected the short-term seasons. Disney hasn't. And Mandalorian, for instance, and I'll just say this because, we're talking about Book of Boba, but the Mandalorian, you can't have episodics in, an 8 to 10 season show. You need to have something that is going to continuously push the plot forward, and I think at least on the Netflix side of things, like Stranger Things is a perfect example of continuing to push the plot forward. Now, there are still amazing aspects of The Mandalorian, and there are still some really good aspects of the Book of Boba as well. I think part of what I take issue in the Book of Boba right now is the structure in which they're telling the story. Because I think oftentimes what you need to do is, if you're going to have flashbacks, it needs to be sort of an all or generally all or nothing sort of thing. But I think there are certain exceptions, like in a show like Lost. Lost has flashbacks, but the total amount of time of flashbacks in Lost probably is like less than a quarter of the actual plot that you're watching. It's just supplementary material. Whereas the Book of Boba, they were almost doing it the opposite. The flashbacks were your primary, story, and the current day stuff was.
And then even with Lost, it found a way to kind of like change up the structure season to season, where we had the flash forwards, and then we had the the time travel, then the flash sideways. I mean, they experimented with the flashback structure.
Absolutely. That's ultimately what I'm trying to say. Like, you had a really good show like that, who knew how to deal with their story structure. Book of Boba, I mean, as of now, not the biggest fan of it. But, once again, we're only episode 3 of 7. By the end of the season, we all could be sitting here again and saying, wow, like, the show did a really good job. I very much like how they did things. But
I think I've said this before, but I think the last 3 episodes of Hawkeye are just objectively way better than the first 3.
Okay, Hawkeye, great example. First off, loved Hawkeye. I think honestly, it's, if not number 1, definitely number 2 of my favorite Marvel shows.
It's number 1 for me, honestly.
I love.
Which I didn't think it was going to be after the first 2 episodes. I really didn't.
Yeah, I think for me, Hawkeye might be my favorite, if not Loki. But I do still think, objectively speaking, WandaVision is the best. So there is a difference.
WandaVision was definitely the most experimental and biggest game changer.
But yeah, I mean, so my point being is those shows were, it was, episode to episode, the plot continued to go forward. And that was something that I liked about this episode. And that's what I was kind of trying to say in my like little intro, was that, I felt like I enjoyed this episode the most. And part of it is because the thing that we've been promised in the trailers, is this plot of him, rising to power as the daimyo. And we got to see the plot progression happen. And so that is what I'm excited for. But yeah, the flashbacks definitely are not done. Let's just hope that they're toned down. And I'd imagine we're going to get some sort of Camino flashback at some point.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, just overall, I mean, I think I'm going to respectfully disagree on some of those Mandalorian viewpoints and kind of side a little bit with Donovan.
Dragon, the comments are on your side on that one, Dragon.
Yeah. I mean, look,
I
will
got to read these.
Well, I'll go as far as to say I think season 2 of without getting to a full, obviously, just refocus back on Boba Fett. I mean, I think season 2 of Mandalorian definitely plays more into kind of like, I guess you'd call it a serialized narrative, and that is pushing the story further and it's connecting to, okay, it's pretty like the whole thing is like, it's the mission statement. We got to return the, we got to bring the kids of the Jedis. That's very much the mission statement. The through line where season 1 is episodic because we're kind of getting to know this character and what the deal is and what is he supposed to do with this kid. So that's why I think kind of those seasons kind of end up being the way they are in that regard. But of course,
look at the prison episode.
Yeah.
Like that I felt like was one of that felt very much episodic,
Yeah.
And you get one good thing out of that episode, which oftentimes is what those, little episodics do. And you get, I'm blanking on the actor's name right now, but he came back for season 2.
Bill Burr?
Yeah, Bill Burr. That was like the best thing that came out of it.
Okay.
But once again, I mean, it's just, it sometimes is just too much of a break from the plot.
All right, guys, I don't want to turn this into a big Mandalorian debate.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
And I also just want to point out to people in the comments. I mean, I know that like I just like respect people's, like I know no one's like slandering at anyone here, but like, I think it's totally cool that we all have our different opinions on Mandalorian. All right, so it's like, all right. Anyways,
okay, let's talk about the Rancor calf, man.
I thought that was a setup at first. I did not think that it was going to be a serious thing, but I'm very much happy that it was a serious moment.
I completely agree with Tiki in that it's a great role for Trejo, man. This is a lovely role for him. I'm very happy seeing. Of course, Robert Rodriguez directing this episode. You figure at some point he's going to put Trejo in one of these episodes, so I'm glad we gave him a role that assured to come back at least a little bit. I love that. I love that basically we now have a baby Rancor kind of equivalent to Baby Yoda, which I think is adorable. So I love that Boba Fett now has his version of Baby Yoda. At least hopefully nothing bad happens to this thing. So hopefully it'll. I just love that it imprinted on Boba Fett. And he actually is treating it very in a loving manner, but he wants to ride him like as was earlier brought up, I believe, by Aiden March. The whole like we had kind of our Death Watch, kind of Dathomir, the witches of Dathomir. I think if not where Darth Maul's from, then where Darth Maul was kind of reconstructed on.
Yeah, no, he's not reconstructed on Dathomir, but that is where he's originally from.
Oh wait, so the witches are so he's from Dathomir, right?
Yes.
Okay, and the witches brought him back?
No. I can't actually remember how he came back actually, but it was not the witches.
Okay.
Oh man, I got to search that up because I'm actually blanking on it. Honestly, I don't think the witches would have really given him the time of day, to be honest.
Well, I'm just saying, I vaguely remember what they brought up here with the witches and the Rancor thing. So the point being, we kind of name drop something from Clone Wars, which is kind of cool. Yeah. Anyway, I love that we called out because Jon Favreau, I believe he wrote this one, didn't he? Assumedly, Favreau's writing all of them. I'm assuming he also wrote this one.
I gotta.
Yeah, he did.
Because I know Rodriguez and. So you just got.
Sorry, my point is like Favreau's been a big advocate for like trying to get George Lucas to admit the holiday special exists, so he put in yet another reference to the holiday special here. Like I've rode Beast 10 times this size, like he's referring to the dinosaur kind of like thing that he wrote.
Oh yeah, I did catch that. That was fun.
Yeah.
Which was cool. That was nice.
Yeah, Favreau has written all 3 episodes. Rodriguez directed episode 1 and 3.
Oh, and Tiki, I might be. This might be a reach. I heard this somewhere. I wonder if you had any thoughts on this. The Starliner at the end, when we basically have the dramatic reveal of the
Yeah,
pipes, like in
yeah,
person,
yeah. I caught that. They
was
did call it a Starliner specifically. Yeah,
I recall direct reference to the
the
resort thing,
Galactic
right?
Starliner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Casey, what are? Do you have any thoughts on that whole mess?
I'm sorry. Could you say that again? What on what?
The Disney World Star Wars hotel thing.
Oh, is that what that was a reference to?
Yeah, the Starliner apparently is like something from the like it's kind of their big sell for like you're basically going on the Starliner on like a a hotel.
Well, two things. One, while I'm familiar with the Starliner mainly because of the advertisements, I did not know that was also what's that in the show, which I'm sure was kind of like even
It's
more.
not the
It's kind of
exact
an
same
ad.
ship. It's just the same terminology.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I'm sure they did that purposely because it's like subliminal marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Yeah, and then also just to comment based on one of the comments down there, the Aid Marcher. I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to say your name. Talzin is on Dathomir because Dathomir is a matriarchal society. The men live like kind of in like a village off from the main witches, but they're the ruling faction, and Mother Talzin's the main girl.
That guy says the Star Wars Holiday Special does exist. It was released in 2020, and it was with Legos. Yes, but but I'm referring to the other one. But yes,
All right.
yeah. Aid March makes the fun point of I like the trio appearance with Rodriguez. The question is, do we get Cheech or Salma? Yeah, some of the others. I kind of go to him as the Spy Kids actors, but yes, some of Rodriguez's other familiar
Antonio
players.
Banderas.
Oh man, that'd be
Oh
awesome.
man, well,
Right.
I mean,
Like a
you
little
really
role.
want to break it out. You have Tom Savini, you have Jessica Alba.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
Wait, how many things has Mickey Rourke been in?
Just Sin City, but he had a very memorable role in Sin City.
Well, of course, with
Yeah.
Cheech Marin, I keep thinking of I'm not your uncle, that whole runner. So that's kind of the
Yeah.
fact
I mean, honestly, like The Mandalorian has a bunch of these, like celebrity cameos. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get at least a few of these people in there.
I think Salma Hayek is the most honestly would be the smartest one given the Eternals of it all. Like, why not put her in Star Wars? I mean, yeah, we're kind of double dipping
because everyone loved
They've been
Selma
busy.
Hayek. Gotta love that Ajax. Am I right?
Ajax, because Ajax was a better character. Tiki.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. We got to redeem her
Burn
somehow.
her
We got to
fucking
give her
cowboy hat for no
let's give her
reason.
let's give her something good with her better direction. Let's do that.
I mean, she could very much be busy,
That's true too.
Yeah.
But I mean, ever since Disney bought Star Wars, with the sequel trilogy, they are all about the cameos. I mean, how many cameos were there in the sequel trilogy?
Yeah.
And
Most of them stormtroopers, but yeah.
Yeah, I was some aliens, some other crap like that, but yeah.
All right, I got one last point just to kind of not really speculate, just kind of bring it up just to keep in mind for the next episode. So ADA, who by the way, I'm loving this guy as he shows up more. I like it. I like kind of our protocol, kind of our fill-in for the protocol droid.
Mm-hmm.
So he establishes how Mos Espa's power structure has been broken down. He basically filled in the gaps, post episode 6. We're okay. So now, since Bib Fortuna took over, now he's dead. The Trandoshans are in the city center. The Aqualish are in the workers' district, which we went to this episode, I believe. Then the Clantunians are the starport and the Underscroll, which I think we kind of, I assume we glimpsed at the end with the Starliner being a starport, I'm going to guess. So yeah, it's just kind of, I imagine we're going to be kind of going to these other locations, like the city center, perhaps, and kind of stuff like that going forward with, kind of our power structure. We're kind of laying out the whole 3 families, kind of the mob dynamic, which has been a big draw for this and hopefully the Obi-Wan series with the whole kind of Hutt kind of crime ring of it all. So that's fun.
Yep.
All right, unless there's anything major in the comments, Deke, I think we can probably round it out.
I mean, there's a lot of comments, but I don't think there's anything. Casey, do you see anything you'd want to address?
No, I mean, I've been trying to there have been a lot of comments this time.
Yeah, we could talk Marvel all day, folks. This is not really the place to do that right now.
But no, I just think I have to say with the droid, I absolutely love Matt Berry, and I thought there was like something slightly familiar about him when I first heard him in the first episode, and I absolutely love that he is in this show. Because I've been a huge fan of What We Do in the Shadows recently.
I'm gonna throw out one thing just as far as very, very, very general predictions go. I really hope we get a set piece with 8 March says, will we get more Max Rebo? That's the most important.
Well, we've been to that place twice, and
I like that Max Rebo is just he's like the house band there.
Which also the song that they were playing was a alternative version of the original Cantina song.
Oh dear God, was it? Oh no!
Yeah.
And we saw some of the same alien race of the Cantina
Play
guys.
that same song.
Yeah, it's pretty much it is the same band.
Oh,
what I
God.
think would be freaking hysterical is if you got the I cannot remember her name at this point in time, but I believe in the 90 re-edits they added in that weird female alien.
Oh God, no!
If she was in this. Oh my God!
Oh, which by the way, just an answer to Donovan's earlier question: do you think the Rancor calf is the same baby Rancor from the Bad Batch? I think that'd be cool. I don't think it is because I'm pretty sure that Rancor could see. So
yeah, I'm curious how, the Rancor that we just had, was he seriously blindfolded his whole life?
Yeah, I think that's the case. I think the idea was bred for fighting and everything, and it was blinded because of that. It's my assumption, but I don't know. I don't know how it works though.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing I was trying to figure out, because then if that's the case, which they could still establish it, we don't know a whole lot about Rancors, but that means that Rancors would have to have probably exceptional hearing, to be able to fight without seeing. But no, it's definitely not Moochie, because Moochie was definitely owned by Bib Fortuna. I was kind of hoping that it was Moochie because, the main Rancor dies, and we know that the main Rancor from episode 6 was not Moochie, but where did Bib Fortuna have him? It was just a weird thing to put in the Bad Batch if it's not going to play out in something else.
I would like to say it's the same Rancor, but again, because I love how that matches up. But again, I don't know.
Guys, I have an important distinction here. Aid March pointed out, said Cy Snoodles was in the original version, which is very true because I remember a lot of behind the scenes footage of the puppet. But I think what you're thinking of, Casey, is you're thinking of all the weird CGI fucking shots.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was talking about.
Thing.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah.
But the flea guy got added in the special edition.
Wait, so maybe it's just been a while since I've last seen the theatrical version, but I definitely think I remember and if it wasn't in the 90 re-edits, then it was in the early 2000 re-edits where it's it definitely is that CGI with that ridiculous dance and stuff, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying the actual character design, there was definitely a puppet of her in the original movie.
Okay.
They might have just entirely CG'd her, which it's good on you, Lucas. Just replacing puppets with CG. But anyway,
the directors of the great documentary, The People versus George Lucas, their particular deep cut fan nitpick was that one. That was the thing that always bothered them with the re-edits and everything. They hated the changing out that character.
I really hope that we eventually do get a sequel to People versus George Lucas.
Tiki, I want it so badly, but I gotta be honest, I just don't think it's in the cards anymore.
I know.
It breaks my heart because now would be the perfect time with the whole. But I don't know. Anyway.
I really do want to know what were the exact terms of Lucas selling to Disney, because I freaking want the remastered original theatrical releases. I have the original theatricals on DVD. It was one of the few times that they ever released them, and I have the DVD copies of it, but I would love a remastered version. I just don't understand why they would do that, because those movies are absolutely fantastic on their own. They really are.
Yep.
All right. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. This time it will be The People versus Ryan Johnson.
Imagine if they went that route with it, where you have one that's Ryan Johnson, the other one would be J.J. Abrams. Imagine if you had that was your trilogy. You get different
trilogy. Totally, I'd be down for that.
A trilogy of different
People
kind of
versus
figures.
Kathleen Kennedy as well.
Well, yeah, but actually, forget Abrams. Let's just make it Kathleen Kennedy. That's like a whole
Yeah.
story in itself.
Because
Yeah.
she's like the Empire or the Emperor.
Yeah, Abrams can just factor into the Ryan Johnson one.
Uh-huh. Also, just to really quickly throw out, just as a very, very general speculation, I hope we get a return to the Rancor pit at some point.
Well, given we have a Rancor,
of course, definitely.
Well, I'm sorry, did I say Rancor? Damn it, Dragon.
Did you
Sarlacc.
Okay, the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, the Sarlacc pit. I want to see the Sarlacc pit.
Assumedly, the Sarlacc's still alive, so... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, my God. Tiki.
What?
It has to be, like, whoever the head... either the mayor, either Mok Shaiz, or whoever the lead Pike is going to be. Boba Fett's big Jabba the Hutt moment is going to be, I'm going to throw you in the Sarlacc.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah, be a big moment of power.
I could honestly see, him feeding like the first real feed to the Rancor.
Possibly.
It's possible too.
Something tells me that we might have seen the last of the Sarlacc pit.
I mean, it wouldn't break my heart, but I love that idea, TK. I love the idea of like him being as big. Anyway,
I'm just saying, maybe even from like a Boba confronting his past trauma point of view.
That would be I'm loving this idea, man. We don't need it. It'd be awesome if we did it, though. There's nothing but possibilities if we do it.
All right. So big thanks to Aid Marsh, that guy, and of course Donovan Martin for joining in this rather active live chat that we've been having tonight. You guys are all awesome. Don't forget to check out Casey on YouTube, his Prometheus show. I'll link it in the description. And see y'all later. I guess I'll do the outro. That'll do it for us this week as we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mano y mano. Just Plus and Us.
Hut breakfast.